Yeah. Hey, welcome. What's on my mind? I suppose that's what you're wondering. Not about what's
I'm wondering too.
It's not about what's on mine. It's about
I'm
what's
wondering
on.
too.
It's about what's on yours, Harsha. First up,
Yes.
by popular request, everyone's wondering should they subscribe to my channel? You got to tell them to subscribe, surely.
Of course, you must subscribe to Pommie's channel because Pommie spread happiness.
There you go.
I'll tell you, Pommie can make a story out of 4 pistachios in a commentary box.
That's a story.
4 pistachios in a commentary box.
That's a story for another day. I tell you what's on my mind and why I want to speak to Harsha Bhogle. It is because so many all over the place will wonder why is Sachin so special to India. And when you come here, everybody's got a Sachin story. Absolutely. It doesn't matter if they've met Sachin or if they've not. I have a Sachin story from before I met Sachin, before I knew him. And I'll tell it a bit later. But Harsha, thanks for agreeing to do this, first of all. But
Did I have a choice?
no, you didn't have a choice. You didn't have a choice. You didn't can you tell me or answer that question? It's a tough question, isn't it? You know, why is Sachin so special? And I put special and then go ... ellipsis, to India, to cricket, to the world. Can people, can you allow people to sort of, and by what you might tell as a story, to kind of get some sort of insight into
Yeah.
what he means to India?
Started as a prodigy.
Mm-hmm.
The world loves prodigies. And a prodigy that didn't get burned out. So many prodigies burn out.
Yeah.
But he started as a prodigy. He is 13, 14 years old. And he's playing inter-school cricket. It's called the Harris Shield.
Right.
What is his batting average in the Harris Shield? 1,028. But he doesn't get out.
Wow.
1,028 in 5 innings. Out once.
Right.
Puts on a partnership of 664. Mumbai, big media capital of India.
Yes,
Everybody
yes,
is suddenly
yes,
talking of this schoolboy wonder.
Yeah.
So I'm told, go and do a story. I'm writing for a magazine in Calcutta. Coach is very angry. He said, you're spoiling this kid. They asked him to inaugurate some shop the other day. But I think he was in love with the game. So this prodigy comes up,
Yeah.
is not picked, has his first Ranji Trophy season. He gets 100 in his first Ranji Trophy game, 100 in his first Duleep Trophy game, 100 in the Irani Trophy game. The chairman of selectors is sitting there, and as he approaches his 100, wickets are falling at the other end, and he tells a guy with a broken hand who's out of the game, he says, I don't care, you're going and standing in there till this boy gets his 100. That day, the team to Pakistan is being picked. And he gets picked for Pakistan, but before that, there's an Indian team that goes to the West Indies in 1989. He's finished his first Ranji Trophy season, he's 15 and a bit.
Yeah.
He's disappointed that he's not picked on that trip to the West Indies. Why is he not picked? Because chairman of selectors thinks we can't unleash a 15-year-old kid, put a 15-year-old kid against Ambrose, Patterson, Walsh,
Too much.
and this genial giant who was not a genial giant when he was bowling that Ian Bishop.
Yeah. True.
So then he goes to Pakistan, gets hit on the nose, is bleeding, gets up and bats. So all the story starts coming up around the 16-year-old. Then liberalization happens, by which time he's already made 7, 8, 10 hundreds. Countries opening up, foreign investment is coming, television channels are growing. Here's this kid. He's the only 16-year-old I know who didn't look 16.
Well, you look 12.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he goes to England.
Yeah.
He goes to England. Gets his first test 100. Saving the game in the second innings. And the BBC have what they call the champagne moment of the day. Remember?
Yeah.
The BBC has champagne moment of the day. So they give you 2 magnums of champagne.
You're taking me back because
Yeah.
I used to see stuff like that on the TV that I used to watch videotapes, and so there'd be post the moment. Or when I say post the moment, much later to be games that were old, and that's how I know about champagne.
The champagne moment.
Because I was in school. Yeah.
But how old is he? 1990.
Okay, so
There's a letter in the Times.
17, isn't he? Yeah.
There's a letter in the Times. You're promoting drinking a underage children. You're presenting alcohol to children.
That's good.
Now,
That's
he's got
good.
two large bottles.
Right.
His senior teammates, Ravi Shastri, Kapil Dev, everyone, there's no way that champagne bottle is lying like that. So
Right.
that's one bottle gone. Many years later, I'm visiting him, the other bottle is still there.
Oh wow.
So yeah. So, but I think that's what happened. When India grew and was in search of heroes, here was someone who done everything right. And India, as I've said very often, he told India that you can be the best.
And is it a case of because India have had cricket heroes before, right? It's not like
Yes.
he's the first one. He's not, right? There have been others before.
He was packaged at the right time.
Right. I see.
Because all our other heroes, how much of Gavaskar's footage will you get to see?
Okay, fair enough. That's where I was going with that. Is it a case of you know you can go to you don't necessarily have to go to YouTube even. I mean it's very mainstream all his stuff because everyone was watching and television was already a big part.
Gavaskar speak Doordarshan. Some matches are covered on Doordarshan, some are not. I did a test match when I was very young. Gavaskar was captain of India, and I know how the telecast was mounted. I would take a bus, go to the Doordarshan studio. We'd then all sit into one jeep, and the producer would say, he would say, one commentator, one cameraman. I can start the telecast.
Yeah.
So where are you going to keep coverage of? So
fair
all
enough.
of Gavaskar's coverage from overseas. Tendulkar was very recorded, very there. So.
Yeah. Okay. And so.
Then '98, that Desert Storm in Australia.
Yes. And
Shane
yeah.
Warne. But I think what made the biggest difference was what Bradman said. Made a huge difference.
I've seen. What was it? I've seen him batting, and
he reminds me of how I might have played.
Yeah.
Because he never saw himself play.
Yeah. It reminds me of me. Yeah, something like that, right? Okay, and you, how special is he to you? Because I started this by saying everyone has a Tendulkar story, right? Is there one you can share with people to say?
Look, I knew him from the time he was 14. And as he grew and became bigger and bigger, now international broadcast is coming into India. Some of us are learning to face the camera for the first time. ESPN Star comes into India. We've got all these big years, 2000, 2005, beautiful, immediately post the match fixing, whatever. So as I said on the tweet the other day, Tendulkar was a sun that shone. We were all the satellites around. We were getting the reflected sunlight. And as Tendulkar grew, because we were telling the Tendulkar story, we grew as well because we were bringing the Tendulkar story to the people.
Association, right?
He allowed, in many ways, he allowed all of us to get known because everyone wanted to hear the Tendulkar story. And we were telling the Tendulkar story. And if he knew you, there's so many. He told me once, come and see me the day before the game. Before the test match.
Where?
In his hotel room. I wanted to meet him for something. He said, come the day before the test match. He said, that day nobody comes to see me. He said, I don't go anywhere. He said, that day I'm filling my hard disk. So that when I go out to bat, I'm not thinking anymore. Because I have to bat with my instinct. I can't think of what to do to the ball. But what is the ball likely to do? That's been filled into my hard disk the previous day. He said, if I have to think when I'm batting, I'm late on the ball.
Yeah, man. Yeah, genius, right?
Yeah, he thinks differently. Saurav told me once, he said in the middle of a series, he changed his stance in his grip. He said, Dale Steyn's bowling too well for me. He said, I don't think, if I have to counter Dale Steyn, I think I have to bat like this. Remember that great Steyn versus Tendulkar contest in South Africa around 2010-11?
Yes.
Saurav said, people like us can't. He said, he just got up in the morning, he said, Sachin, what have you done? He said, no, I was thinking last night that I think Steyn is bowling so well, I need to do this.
Yeah.
So you do these things.
What about the human side? I am forever interested in the human side, and you'll attest to this. I'm telling everybody out there, but as we go around everywhere, whether it's as player or as commentator or kind of this group of people that kind of always together, whether we're here in India or we are in Australia or in England or where it's South Africa, it doesn't matter where it is. Human traits, they're there. We're all people and we connect. We try to. I feel, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not close to Sachin. I know him and I watch him and admire from afar.
But if he meets you, you'll think you know him.
True, he's like that, right? Like he's like that. But I also think, man, it must be so hard
Very hard.
for him, you know?
Very sheltered, very protected by his family. Initially protected by all of Mumbai cricket, but he learned to live within that. And he always said to me, he said, my father used to tell me when I was growing up, the cricketer will retire. But people must not remember you as a cricketer, they must remember you as the person, because the person doesn't die, the cricketer finishes. And in his house, for example, they didn't celebrate his hundreds. So he said every time he hit 100, they had a small little thing, maybe brought a cake, cut something, whatever, and maybe offered something to the. He's very, very religious.
Okay.
After that, the 100 was never discussed. Always the next one. And his brother would come and tell him, be careful you're doing this and be careful you're doing that. So stayed very grounded.
Yeah.
And I think that was his great strength. Aware of his destructive skills, but always very respectful of the ball that's coming at him.
Yeah. Yeah. You might wonder why I'm asking him. It's because he turned 50. And it
Can
kind
you
of
imagine?
He turned
This
50
little
years old.
trussel-head guy who's 16. He was meant to be 16.
It's crazy. He turned 50 the other day. I tell my story before we, say, we don't want to drag on too long. The stories wouldn't finish, would they? Because
No.
you could just go on and on.
No, it would become a series running into 8 parts.
Yeah. And I said, everyone has their Sachin story, and this from people who've met him, from people who've not met him, and have played against the guy, and when sort of turning out to play against the guy, it's just like surreal, this is the guy.
This was Zim India series when you were here.
Yeah, this is the guy,
Yeah.
But this is the guy for me was because there was my cricket master was a Yorkshireman.
Yeah.
And in 1992, I'm trying to think if I was 15 yet. I mean, if I was 16 yet at the time, or if I wasn't 16 yet.
It's easy. If you know your date of birth, you know.
No, I don't know my date of birth. That's the point. I don't know my date of birth. But I think I was turning 16, and so Sachin would have been turning 19 or 19.
Professional at Yorkshire.
Yeah, and he signed for Yorkshire, and he was the first foreigner to sign for Yorkshire. And this cricket master, being a cricket guy, Truman, boycott, or that's what he always spoke about all the time. And he said, "Come, you need to watch this." And you remember those cricketer magazines?
Yeah.
There was a write-up on him, and then there were these videos on him because he got I think he got 100 for them. If I remember, there were several 50s, but I think he got 100 for them. And he said, "You need to see this." And he said, "Do you know how old this guy is?" He said, "He's 19." He said, "Do you know when he played for his country?" He was a little older than you.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Ah.
Literally, and that was it. And you don't know the things that are sort of planted in your head, do you? As you grow up, you don't know. But not long before that, maybe a year before that, is when the decision in my head was
to play cricket.
I want to do this, and I want to play for Zim, and I want to, all of this stuff. I want to be a professional cricketer, and these things along the way. And there was a Sachin story, which I've never forgotten. And I remember where I was. I used to have to go into his digs to go and watch TV and watch cricket matches. That's what I used to do. Sneak in there, go and watch videos. And that was it.
Rahul Dravid told me once, he said, because Sachin played for India at 16, across the states, if they saw young talent, they thought, if Sachin can play at 16, maybe we can give this kid a first-class game.
There you go.
And he said, because of them, some of us got into first-class cricket a little earlier.
A beacon of hope.
Yes. And he just saw the game. He saw the game differently. He's 15 years old, 15 years old. The Indian team is having a camp. And Dilip Vengsarkar tells Kapil Dev, Vengsarkar's captain of India, he tells Kapil Dev, I've called this kid to bat in the nets. Kapil Dev is bowling to him in the nets. So Kapil Dev comes and lets the first one go, and he plays it well. And he keeps cranking it up. And then he says, this kid's batting all right. And there's another story. He wanted to be a fast bowler.
Sachin did.
He and Saurav Ganguly are both. There's a famous photograph of the MRF Pace Academy.
Yeah.
Sachin and Saurav are two of the people who had gone there to become fast
Yeah.
bowlers. Dennis Liddy said no. A year later, Dennis Liddy sitting there with T.S. Shekhar, and these fast bowlers are bowling. And he said, I'm just watching, right? I'm looking at the bowlers. And he said, this guy comes into bat and he goes, boom.
Yeah.
Then he goes, boom. He said, after he's hit the third or fourth ball, I stopped talking and I'm saying, who's this kid?
Yeah.
And he then tells Shekhar, who's this kid? He said, thank God you didn't pick him because he's the batter.
Yeah.
And he said, I stopped. I just started watching this kid, and I said, where's this kid from?
Yeah.
So he was a prodigy, but he didn't burn out because he was so into the games. Yeah. But if you call him up and such a small favor, yes, send him an SMS, he'll reply.
I don't have his number. Unlike some people. Wow. Anyhow, that's all the story we're telling. Yeah, he turned 50. Not so little master anymore. Still the master. And still love. Thanks for doing this, Harsha. Please tell them to subscribe.
Mpumelelo Mbangwa,
Mbangwa Media.
Mbangwa Media. Subscribe to, I'll do that again, take two.
Take two. There you go. He loves this.
If you want to hear the best stories in the world, told by the man who makes a story watchable, listenable, never too far from a smile like he is now, Mbangwa Media is for you.
There you go. Oh, that's nice. I'm going to clip that and I'll put it on here. Okay, that's all that's on my mind for now. So, yeah, on we go. Let's see if I can get any more friends to come and chat with me over here. You'll have to subscribe to find out. Bye.